And welcome to this edition of the Native News Update on this Tuesday, January 3rd, 2012. I'm your host for today's program, Paul Demain. Many of the stories we read here can also be found at our website at IndianCountryNews.com, and here are some of the news stories for the day. Oklahoma Governor Mary Fallin proclaimed Quapaw Tribal member Major Vicki Jones of Guthrie, Oklahoma, as Oklahoma Women Veteran of the Year. Ms. Jones, who is also Seneca, Cayuga, and Cherokee, was recognized for her contributions to the veterans community. Ms. Jones was the first Native American female to graduate from the Army Rotary Wing Helicopter School at F.T. Rucker, Alabama. That's Fort Rucker, Alabama, and was the first female helicopter pilot for the Oklahoma Army National Guard. In 1997, Senator Chief Kelly Haney, a Seminole, painted the Heritage of Valor painting depicting a Native American woman for the Women in Military Service of America Memorial. The picture, which depicts a woman in battle, stands in her native Seneca dress with a view of a modern military woman in a flight helmet in the background, honors all women veterans past, present, and future. The model for the painting is Vicki Jones. The original painting is displayed in the Native American alcove of the 45th Division Museum in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Bill Crosby, one of hundreds of Navajo Code Talkers who used their native language to confound the Japanese and help win World War II, passed away last week at the age of 85. Crosby was laid to rest at the Chinle Community Center near his hometown of Many Farms, where he taught Head Start children about the Navajo language and culture after he retired. Crosby also volunteered as a foster grandparent. Crosby was one of about 420 Navajos trained to transmit messages in a code based on the then unwritten Navajo language. The Navajo Code Talkers Association estimates that fewer than 70 of the 420 code talkers are still living. Crosby was the sixth code talker to pass away so far in the year 2011, according to Shelley's office. A Northern Cheyenne woman did file a lawsuit against the Roman Catholic Diocese of Great Falls, Billings, contending she was sexually abused as a young girl by a popular priest at the St. Libraire Mission School in Ashland between 1955 and 1962. The lawsuit seeking unspecified damage was filed last month in Cascade County District Court in Great Falls, Montana. It also names as defendants the Order of Friars Minor, the Capuchin Order, and the school itself. Reverend Emmett Hoffman is not named as a defendant, but is identified as the reason for the lawsuit. The 85-year-old Hoffman retired in 1993 and lives in Ashland. The Billings Gazette reports that Hoffman was sent in 1954 to close the mission, but instead revived it. It had a $50 million endowment when he retired. He is one of only two white men ever to have been made an honorary chief of the Northern Cheyenne, according to some of the members. He is also the subject of a book by Billings author Renee Sanson Flood titled Renegade Priest of the Northern Cheyenne. A former officer with the Fort Hall Police Department who was injured when his patrol vehicle was hit by another vehicle has been awarded $717,000 by a Pocatello jury in a lawsuit over the tribe's underinsured motorist insurance policy. But Nicholas Garcia says he wishes he was still working rather than receiving the insurance payout. The Idaho State Journal reports that the jury last week awarded Garcia $210,757 in lost wages, $206,179 for future lost wages, and $300,000 for non-economic damages. In September of 2007, Garcia was driving home in his patrol car when he was hit by another car that failed to yield at a stop sign. He suffered a career-ending injury to his back, which had already undergone a previous fusion surgery. A school established more than 100 years ago by a tribe will be part of the Bureau of Indian Education school system and eligible for additional funding, an Oklahoma congressman has said. U.S. Representative Dan Boren secured language to reinstate Jones Academy, a Choctaw Nation school near Hartshorn, to the system and included it in an omnibus appropriations bill that recently passed the House. The Jones Academy's removal from the system dates back to the federal government's program in the 1950s, he said. It was repealed in 1970, but the school's removal remained in effect. The Choctaw Nation established a school in 1891. It has enrolled students from 29 federally recognized tribes and from different states. Boren called the change, allowing the school to once again be part of the program, an important step in keeping promises the United States made to Indian nations. A Wisconsin tribe will become the first in the nation to open land to the public, giving visitors a chance to enjoy nearly 89,000 acres of pristine forest land along the coast of Lake Superior. The Red Cliff Chippewa are creating Frog Bay Tribal National Park, an area flush with towering trees, hemlock, white pine, white spruce, balsam fir, yellow birch, and white cedar. The park is expected to open next August. The National Park Service says there are no other parks that are tribally owned or controlled by tribes that are open totally to the public, according to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. The tribe is obligated to open the land to the public since taxpayer money helped acquire it. A Madison couple used to own the property, but David and Marjorie Johnson, who are now in their 90s, decided to sell the parcel to the tribe for half its appraised value of $950,000, according to Ellen Kowatowski, the executive director of Local Land Trust Bayfield Regional Conservancy, Inc. Utah prosecutors have opened an investigation into the use of pepper spray and batons by police officers on a group of spectators performing a traditional New Zealand war dance after a high school's losing football game. Utah County Attorney G. Mark Thomas said last week he was opening the case at the request of the Utah chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union. His independent review was first reported by the Desert News of Salt Lake City. An internal investigation by Roosevelt police found the actions were justified because the officers were unfamiliar with the Haka war dance and believed a riot was imminent. Officers used pepper spray on about a dozen Polynesian men and boys who formed the war dance in October after their hometown favorite lost an October match against a Roosevelt high school.
God is dead! God is dead! I'm gonna sue you guys!
And tomorrow, join us with Mark Trahant, who I would suspect will have a few things to say about the Iowa caucuses that are going on today that will make or break a few Republican presidential candidates, and things are beginning to heat up on the campaign trail. And don't forget the Wisconsin mining bill hearing at the Ashland, Wisconsin High School, 10 a.m. through 6 p.m. this upcoming Saturday, January 7th. And that is another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank you for joining with us, and come back again soon.